Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. Today, one of my favorite rackets, a racket that I actually used a few years ago, a racket that I got my buddy Shaun to use. Stay tuned. All right, guys, so coffee sponsor of today is Ken Fayette. Ken writes, Harry, I have a head radical tour from back in my glory days of the late 90s. How do I string the 18 main by 19 cross string pattern in a two-piece? Interesting. It shouldn't be that hard. Are you asking me because you're running short on those mains and can't get to your head to pull tension? If that is the case, when you measure out, instead of going 50-50, when you cut that 40 feet of string, give it another maybe 6 inches, and you should be able to get to your crank head if you're using a crank head. If you're using an electric stringer, you're probably going to need to invest in one of these, the starting clamp / extender, and this will help you get to your crank head to pull tension. I'm guessing that's what you're asking me. Let me look at your question. How do I string it? How do I string the pattern in a two-piece? Yeah, that's what I would suggest. If that's not your question, buy me a coffee again and ask me it with more detail. That's what I'm guessing you're asking me, because it says, how are you doing it in the pattern? It didn't say what strings do you suggest or what tension. All right, hopefully that helped you. Worst case scenario, maybe buy a reel, and then you can measure it out yourself and do it that way. If you want to be my coffee sponsor of the day, network is buymeacoffee.com/tennis spin. If you want to support the channel, super thanks is the way. There's a link below. You can contribute as much or as little as you like to the channel. We greatly appreciate it. All right, here's to you guys. Thank you, Ken. All right, so Wilson Burn 100 in the house, version 5 here. In version 1, I actually switched to Burn 100 version 1 when it first came out. This was probably close to 10 years ago. Because my kid was 2 running around holding this thing at the convention or at the launch of it. That's when I switched from my customized 4-4 mids, which I had for 16 years. So it took a burn for me to change rackets. And then I switched to version 2. I got those reverse colored all oranges, which I loved. Version 3 is when they turned it into like a price point kind of a racket, and then I switched to Clash then, after that, into version 3. Version 4, as many of you may or may not know, they didn't have a 100. They only had S patterns. So they abandoned the regular 100 in version 3, actually, excuse me. In version 3, they abandoned the regular 100. In version 4, they brought it back because that was the last version. And now here we are with the kind of a burnt orange look. I kind of like it, actually. I would like it a little more, Halloween orange. But, yeah. I mean, the specs are the same. Like, everything is still the same. It still has a good amount of, I could feel it, weight coming through. And super excited to give this one a shot. I'll have a special guest with me today as we test out the racket though, okay? I'll see you on the court.
Version 2.
All right, guys, so I got famed college, Harvard tennis star, Shaun with me today to test out the latest Wilson Burn 100 version 5. So I got Shaun into the Burn rackets, I want to say starting in version 2?
Correct.
Okay.
In 2017.
So we came from a what? Pro Open?
K-Factor Pro Tour.
Pro Tour, that's right. And you love those rackets.
I only used it for about 7 to 10 years, so I might have liked it a little bit.
I had to pry those off of your hands.
You did.
and it took a lot of prodding and testing and kind of here. And then you're like, yeah, I really don't want it, but okay. Since I can't find my own rackets anymore and they don't make them, right? So we got to version 2 right here. And it was a black one originally. These were actually mine, but Shaun and I share an interest in the orange color. We love orange. So since I don't play with him anymore, he wound up with all of my orange reverse colored Burn 100s. So he got used to these, and when they stopped making these, it took you a couple of years. You're not one to switch rackets.
I tend to stick with, I'm very loyal to my rackets.
Yes.
But I will play with anything you tell me to. So.
Okay. And as you can see by Shaun's wear pattern, he does like to wear them out. And you should have seen his Pro Tours and the wear they had on them. I think there were all holes on this side and holes on this side. You saw the hollowness of the racket. I'm like, Shaun, I think you need a new racket. He's like, no, it's okay. It's okay.
We'll just add tape to it. We'll tape it up.
And I was like, and then it started cracking. It started collapsing. So here we are. You're going to wear these out now. You did not, though, however, like the version 4. And let's talk about this here. What did you like about the version 2?
Yeah, Harry, that's a great question. I think the version 2 had a lot of great qualities I was looking for in my racket. I wanted a very stable racket that could help me in the long baseline rallies. That's been a hallmark of my game for a long period of time. I felt there was a good weight balance across the head as well. I felt no matter where I hit the ball, the sweet spot was quite large, and so I think that really helped me as I tried to outlast my opponents on the tennis court.
Mm-hmm. And then you didn't like, for some reason, the version 4.
Yeah, it felt a little different. I think they shifted the weight around in the head. It felt a bit lighter, and so it was harder for me to generate the same pace that I had with the version 2. So while it was still a good racket, I felt that I had to work harder to generate the same amount of pace, and it was harder for me to end the points. So I preferred the V2 to V4.
Okay, and now fast forward to today. Version 5 is out now. Your first thoughts on this?
Well, Harry, you know how hard it is for me to change rackets. So I think all things considered, I think it was actually a really great first trial for the V5. I felt a lot of similarities to the V2. Great control on the ball, and also great weight around the head as well. I think the one difference between the V5 and the V2 that I noticed today was there was easy power and acceleration when I drove through the ball. My backhand is my favorite shot, and so I found I was able to drive through a backhand quite easily with the V5. So I'm not confirming that I'll switch to the V5 quite yet, but I'm keeping an open mind to it.
Okay. Well, you have no choice because 2's done, and you don't like 4 unless we go to a different racket. 5 is probably it.
Possibly.
So I can understand what you're talking about. When I was hitting with this racket with you, I could feel the plow in this racket, and I could feel the ease of power that you can generate from it, even with these fresh strings. But I mean, this felt like home to me. The way it plowed through, the way it came up, the way the ball impacted. Just I've used it before, obviously in this form, and I've tried it in that form. So this would be an easy change for me, just coming from those.
So I agree with the easy power. Do you feel like in addition to the easy power, you're able to pick your targets well? I felt even if I took pace off of it and tried to direct it more into the corners of the ball and spread my opponent, I felt this racket also gave me the flexibility there as well.
Totally. I mean, I obviously am not as good as you, but I just want to make sure the ball stays in.
You're a great tennis player. We had a lot of good rallies today.
No, thank you. You're very kind. But I just like the way it plows through. Here's one thing that you may not know about this racket. We tested the stiffness of this particular one in the shop. We got a machine that, tests the flex both this way and this way.
Interesting.
And let's say a regular blade pro staff thinner based racket, usually comes up in about like a mid 60s, like 65, 66. This came up both over 70.
Wow.
So we got stiff this way and stiff this way. So it's a pretty firm racket.
And how does it impact the point of contact?
So the frame is going to stay stiff upon the ball impacting the strings. So I guess we can categorize this as a powerful racket.
Yeah, and I felt to that point, maybe it'll help you absorb the power from your opponent quite well and help you redirect it. And I really felt that today. Exactly.
And then I'm going to make fun of Shaun a little bit more. Shaun's normal string, and I'm not kidding, is that topspin 15L. Those of you who are my age know exactly what this is. Those of you who are actually Shaun's age have no idea what this is. I don't even know how you even got this string.
That's a great question. I think someone gave it to me 30 years ago and been using it ever since.
30 years old, you were like 0 years old.
True.
So just so you know, it's a multi-mono synthetic nylon-based string that's textured. As you can see the back, this is the three-dimensional photo of the actual string blown up. And there's nothing special about this string except that it's thick, textured, and dead.
Well, I appreciate your hot take on this string.
When somebody put this on my racket when I was your age, I was hating life. Let's put it that way. I had no help whatsoever. So Shaun strings his racket straight up with this at 58 pounds. I repeat, 58 pounds. and it lasts him about 2 hours, maybe 3 on a good day. And he'll just, beat the ball around, rally with you, like 100-ball rallies at a time, wear you down, and then put away the next shot. That's what he does with this string. So literally, he has no help from this string. He probably gets a little help from this racket. And I guess it's just his athleticism that brings him through.
I don't know about that. I think a lot of luck.
So I just wanted to tell you about Shaun here, okay? He uses a dead string, pretty lively racket, and he's got some lively legs, okay? All right, so Shaun, to be continued with this racket. We're going to keep trying this with you. Okay. But thank you so much for testing it out with me today.
No, Harry, thank you for having me. It was a real pleasure.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure. Did you want people to find you online here? You could say no if you like.
Of course. I'm probably the rare millennial to not have any social media. But, I say follow Harry, and Harry, okay. Any questions I'm happy to answer through Harry.
Okay, very good. Guys, actually, let me plug one more thing in. You are the Stanford's, coach for the club team?
I do help coach the Stanford Club tennis team. I played on the Harvard tennis team, so my loyalty lies with the Crimson, and it's been exciting to follow the men's and women's team the past several years. But yes, I do help coach the Stanford Club tennis team from time to time.
Perfect. All right. Guys, thank you for watching Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. Coach Rob, I feel like I'm lost on the court. I'm just hitting mindless tennis.
Understandable. I've seen it you hit. You need a plan, Harry. Every shot has to have a purpose.
We got a singles playbook there today. Are we going to run into these plays with your singles players?
Absolutely. We got the diagrams. We got it all right here.
All right. Step by step.
Step by step. How to beat a southpaw. How to beat a pusher. It's all in here.
We're going to definitely see a pusher today. And then for the doubles players, we're going to see and get the highest potential, run some plays that will basically be hopefully unstoppable on the court today. Step-by-step instructions from fuzzy yellow balls, QR code. You can watch the action on a video. So the playbook is here. Get yours today at Fuzzy Yellow Balls. Click on the link below. Check it out.